Well, hello there. This is a bit of a different video, and it's been a while since I actually made a YouTube video, but I have just been having so much fun with this Elden Ring character. I kind of have to share this build. So, first things first, I just kind of want to go over my inspirations a little bit of how I kind of came up with this character. So, it was kind of inspired by two different FromSoft games. So, first one you can probably tell is Black Knife from Elden Ring, obviously, and I'm wearing the Black Knife armor. I'm kind of going for like kind of a magical assassin kind of vibe here, so I'll go a little bit more into stats and what I'm using later. But the other thing, if I check my name real quick here, is the Dancer. The Boreal Valley is the other thing I was kind of inspired by, hence the two swords I've got here. And that's from Dark Souls 3, if you've never played it. It's probably my favorite boss from that game, to be honest. Probably my favorite boss music of the whole series, too. Yeah, I'll probably put a clip of the Dancer, just if you haven't seen what the Dancer looks like. She's very cool. But those are my two big inspirations for this. So, just to quickly run down what the hell is going on here. So, in terms of my equipment here, I've got a Fire Misericord. Oh, by the way, this is New Game Plus. I feel like I should mention that. In fact, there's no way of getting this exactly as I have it in your first playthrough. You can get something close, but it's not exact, and I really do think this works better for New Game Plus. You can see I'm level 175 right now. There's absolutely a way to do this at 150 if you wanted to go for like PvP or something, but yeah, so you could try this, something similar for your build all the way through, but it's a bit stat heavy at first, so you're gonna have to kind of dip your toes into a little bit of everything first. I don't recommend it. I would say just use some other build for your first playthrough, and then this is a great choice for New Game Plus. But like I said, I've got a Fire Misericord with Flame of the Redmanes. I don't really use the Ash of War too much. It's just I had it and I put it on to give it fire. I really just want it to be fire. The reason why is this is the best critting dagger in the game. I don't really use this for attacking. This just gives it really high damage, and it gives it strength scaling, which if you see my stats over there, I am going for kind of a strength intelligence focus with just a little bit of dexterity, so I definitely want it to be mostly strength. Over here in my offhand, I've got the Staff of Loss, which is a really fun staff. It boosts invisibility sorceries, which definitely not the, maybe not the strongest type of spells in the game, but certainly fun, and it fits the whole magical assassin thing. And actually, you can see my spells over there. That is all 6 invisibility sorceries, and nothing else. So I'm sure if you wanted to do PvP or something like that, something a little less roleplay heavy, you could put better spells on here and probably use better staff. But hey, I like this one. I also put Spinning Weapon on it. It's not very good, but it's better than nothing, I guess. So, I don't think I've even used that Ash of War on this at all, but you see it has scaling and intelligence, and then it's got a pretty sizable boost for invisibility sorcery. I forget exactly what the number is, but it's certainly pretty good. I don't use... These are my two least used weapons, though. The main star of this build is... or I guess are these. I've got 2 Scavenger's Curve Swords, and this is the first reason why this is a New Game Plus build. You can only get one of these in your first playthrough. I've got one that has Chilling Mist on it to make it cold infused, and then one that has Flaming Strike on it to make it fire infused. So, you can see that this cold infused one actually scales best to intelligence, but I believe that's just the magic damage. The physical damage comes from strength and dexterity, which it is pretty equal in. And then the fire scales with strength. Let's see differences there. So why on earth am I doing this? If you don't know the mechanics of this, really quick, I'll just show you. While it's getting dark here, this is a good time to show it off. Kind of how I set this up. So first thing I do is I hold the fire sword in both hands, and then I use Flame Strike, which throw out some fire, and then you use R2 to kind of slash through the fire and set your sword on fire. And then I go to both hands, use Chilling Mist, and now I have one that's coated in frost, one that's coated in fire, and then you probably saw I had that little cloud of mist that if people walk through, they are most likely going to get frostbite. So, why on earth do I have two swords of fire and ice here? Well, one, it looks sick as hell. Like, let's be real here. That's part of the charm of this build, I think. But more importantly, if you've never worked with frostbite before, it works a bit like Bleed does, where you have like a frostbite meter, and as you hit people with frost damage, it builds up, and then eventually, once you fill it up all the way, they take a big chunk of damage, and then they also, I think, lowers their damage negation for a little while too. The problem is, though, is that unlike Bleed, which basically just immediately starts as soon as you bled them once, it resets, and then you can just start building up the bleed again. For Frostbite, once you put them Frostbite, it kind of has to cool down, no pun intended, for a little bit before you can start building up that Frostbite meter again. The way around that, though, is by dealing fire damage. So, if you Frostbite them, oof, ouch, there goes the Frostbite, and then you hit them with a fire sword, now it's reset, and you can immediately start building up Frostbite again. So, it's really effective at getting Frostbite very quickly. Absurdly quickly. You can, because this thing does, per hit, 105 frost buildup, which is pretty significant, and so you can get them with Frostbite. I mean, depending on frost resistance, it can be, just a few seconds. Every few seconds, you can get a new Frostbite hit on them, which is pretty huge. So, on top of that, both of these swords, the reason I'm using the Scavenger's Curse Sword specifically over another Curse Sword is that they both have a little bit of base bleed buildup. And so, you can probably tell these things swing pretty quickly. And they do these pretty cool glowing combos that are pretty easy to hit. They do a big arc in front of you. They're not the longest range things, that's the only downside of this. But you're probably going to want to get in their face anyway and just, dodge out of the way and stuff like that. But definitely they hit pretty quickly. And then the two great things you have is if you sprint attack, see that's a double attack, so you hit them 4 times there. And then if you do a jump attack, same thing, it's 4 times really quickly there. So that's pretty cool. And so, I'll talk about the Talismans next. And these two here are the other reason we want to do New Game Plus. You can only get one of these in each one of your playthroughs. So, the Rod and Wings Sword insignia here is that you get at the end of Millicent's quest line, so you have to go all the way to the Halig Tree and do that whole quest line. I won't spoil it for you if you care about that, but it's a bit tough to get, definitely. It took me a couple of tries, but it's definitely worth it, because what this talisman does is basically when you hit them multiple times in a row, you hit an enemy multiple times in a row, the more you hit them, the more your attack goes up. So the more damage you do over time, which is really good with this because, like I was showing here, you are hitting them many times. Each hit isn't doing a ton of damage, but with those multipliers, the more you hit them, the more damage you start to be doing with each hit, and it can really quickly start scaling up. In a New Game Plus here, I can run in, go like that, and I've already dealt well over 1,000 damage to them. It is pretty shocking how effective it is. And just the more you do that, the stronger you get. But this is further increased with Millicent's Prosthesis, which you also get from Millicent's questline, although you can get it earlier. You only have to fight, I'm in the wrong place. You have to fight the Godskin, the skinny Godskin on top of the Windmill Heights here with Millicent. So, to do that, meet her, you have to get the needle by killing, you have to kill the commander in the Aeonian Swamp here, do that whole thing, and then you have to get her arm in the Shaded Castle here, and once that's all done, then you can summon her for this boss battle up here. After you kill the boss battle, you can then, unfortunately, kill Millicent. I felt a little bad doing it, to be honest, but it's the only way to get this is by killing her. So, and it stacks with this. So, not everything does stack with this, but these two do stack, which is really nice. Next thing I have, actually I switched the thing out sometimes, so Claw Talisman enhances jump attacks. This has been, I know jump attacks have been nerfed recently. I'm actually okay with that. That's just a message. Okay. Jump attacks have been nerfed recently, so they're not as strong as they used to be. It does not matter for this. They are still more than good enough. So I still like using that. But because we also have the misericord, sometimes if I am not doing a boss battle, but I'm doing more clearing out an area of, you know, small grunts or something like that, and I'm doing a lot of sneaking, I will use the Dagger Talisman for that nice critical hit boost. But I'll move back to Claw Talisman. Finally, I've got the Graven Mask Talisman for those previously mentioned invisibility sorceries here. All of these spells are pretty cool. They're not the strongest things in the world or anything, but definitely check them out. I won't go over them now. I think they're pretty clear what they do, but I just like them because they also have that assassin feel to them. So, as for the armor, I do like the Black Knife armor because it makes it so that you can sneak up behind people. Works great with the misericord. If you wanted to, though, you could go for something like the Raptor's Black Feathers to further increase jump attacks, although now you do make sound. You can hear probably my footsteps now. Hopefully it's coming through. So it's really just a matter of how you want to play this. For those are probably two I'd recommend for armors. You probably don't want anything too heavy, just because you have a lot of points to put into your stats, which I'll go over soon. And you can see I only have 16 endurance, so that's enough to carry these 4 weapons, all of which are pretty light. These 4 pieces of armor, which are all, again, pretty light for armors, and then these 4 talismans. So, yeah, that's enough to get all of that without having a talisman wasted by increasing your carry limit. So, yeah, I would keep light armor. You don't need armor for this. You're kind of going for a glass cannon kind of thing, and I'd rather just put points into damage. Speaking of stats, let's go over that real quick here. So I am 175 right now, but for 150, you know, you can, I think, if you take strength down, if you take intelligence down a little bit, you can even decrease vigor a little bit, decrease mind a little bit, decrease dex a little bit to get it to 150. I think that's doable. You know, even going down to, like, you know, 45 strength, 40 intelligence or something like that, it's still going to do alright, I think. But definitely this is better for New Game Plus. So, you want to get to a decent spot because you are doing just a lot of damage here, so you want to try to max out the damage. So, this is what I've got right now, and as I continue through this game, I am probably going to put a little bit more into dex now, I think, because the cold sword does scale pretty equally to strength and dex, I think, so that's one thing I'm probably going to continue putting points into, and then mind as well, and maybe even a little more endurance just so I have some more stamina. But last things I really want to talk about then are I've got, you might have seen down there, I've got Black Knife Tiche as my summon here. That's just because, you know, Black Knife, it works, but also she's absolutely amazing as a summon. It can just do an absurd amount of damage, and because her attacks can do kind of percentage-based damage, because in New Game Plus and beyond, bosses have such high HP, her percentage damage plus your just ridiculously high damage, it means you just kind of melt through bosses, and I mean, it's laughable. So the reason I actually started recording this video. Where I am right now is last thing I did with this character was I beat Morgott, and I didn't get a recording of it, and I kind of regret that because Black Knife Tiche and I think managed to beat Morgott in probably under 30 seconds, which is just kind of ridiculous. New Game Plus Morgott in under 30 seconds, and if you want to know how fast it was, when he was dying, he was not done with his Phase 2 speech yet. So that, like, thrones stained by my curse, like, that's when he died. It was so fast. In fact, oh, his body's still over here, isn't it? I didn't get to talk to him. Yeah, well, I'll leave that for later, but he's still there. So that was the last thing I did, and I was like, you know what, I should probably talk about this. But what I think we'll do now, ooh, one last thing, and I'll go over here, because I have to talk about the, oh, I guess for Great Rooms. I haven't gone to Great Room yet in this, but Godric's might be pretty good, just for getting a little bit more stats and everything. You could also go for Morgott's, which I might do now that I've killed him. Radahn, I think Radahn is the one that gives you health, magic, and stamina. So those would probably be my top three. So Morgott, Radahn, or Godric. And then the Physick, definitely the one I recommend here is the Thorny Crack tier. So once again, this just increases your attack power the more times you hit people. So drink this once for bosses, and it's just going to further increase it to an absurd amount. The other one here, you could really go Magic Shrouding Crack tier or Flame Shrouding Crack tier. Magic would obviously do more with your Cold Sword, and the Flame would do more with your Fire Sword and your Dagger. It's really just whichever one you would prefer. I guess if you know a character is more weak to fire, maybe go for the fire. If you know a character is more weak to magic, go for the magic. Or, you know, you can try something different. You can try something like this, the Opaline hard tier here. And that would give you just a little bit more defense, because you are a bit of a glass cannon. That could help. But I'm sure there's a bunch of things you could think of. Maybe even the green burst here, stamina recovery, that could be really useful as well, I can imagine. But yeah, there's a bunch of things you could do, but those are the two I use right at this moment. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut some clips of me fighting bosses. I guess I'm going to Fire Giant next, so you might see me fight him, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I wasn't too rambly, and definitely try this yourself. This is probably the most fun character I've ever made for this game, so it really makes you feel like you're playing as the Dancer or a Black Knife Assassin, and probably a little bit of both at the same time, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, I guess I will continue my game, and I'll see you guys later.